Welcome in. We're diving deep into Haunted Mansion today, specifically chapters 1, 4 through 7, and 10 through 14.
Oh, those are some of the best.
You guys know by now it's not your average haunted house tale. You've got family secrets, tough choices, and more twists than a roller coaster.
I'm particularly fascinated by how the author takes this classic horror setting, the mansion, and makes it more than just a backdrop. It's like this character, right, reflecting the darkness within the Marino family.
It's true, every spooky corner, every creaking floorboard seems to whisper a family secret.
Echoing choices made generations ago.
Speaking of the family, we've got Sophia inheriting this creepy old mansion. Initially, she's skeptical. Who would be?
Right, like an inherited mansion sounds great. What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. But then, boom, intense dreams, whispers, this feeling of dread, almost like the house is saying, "Welcome home, kiddo. Sweet dreams."
It's classic Gothic horror, using those creepy details to build that sense of unease. And it's so effective. Like, remember those gargoyle carvings?
Yeah, supposed to ward off evil, right?
But they just make the place even creepier. Like, are they protectors or prisoners themselves? What's the author trying to say there?
It's unsettling, for sure. And then we have Sophia's friends who, let's be honest, are kind of along for the ride, whether they like it or not.
They're like the Scooby-Doo gang, each bringing something different to the table. You've got Lucas, the skeptic, then Grace, the adventurous one.
And Michael, Mr. Logic.
Oh.
Except when you're dealing with the supernatural, logic can only take you so far.
And it's fascinating to see how each of them reacts to the supernatural happenings. It's easy to say we'd be brave, but the story shows how fear affects everyone differently.
Makes you wonder how you'd react if your walls started whispering. And then, because every good haunting needs a holiday, Halloween night rolls around.
Oh boy, here we go.
The whispers get louder, shadows more intense.
It's like the mansion's putting on a show.
A terrifying, spine-chilling show. But instead of running for the hills, Sophia decides to face her fears head-on.
She goes full-on detective mode. This is where the story shifts from spooky vibes to a deep dive into family legacy.
She finds all those old journals, letters, and ledgers.
And they paint a dark, fascinating picture of the Marino family history.
Especially the journals of Eliza Marino, Sophia's ancestor.
It seems like she went toe-to-toe with this curse generations ago.
Imagine trying to fight a supernatural entity in a corset and petticoats. Talk about a strong woman.
The Eliza story is so important because it introduces the idea of resistance. She didn't just accept this darkness, she fought back. It makes you question if this curse is inevitable or if there's some wiggle room, some choice involved.
I like that, the idea of free will in this haunted house. And as they delve deeper, literally into the mansion, uncovering hidden chambers, a ritualistic basement.
It's like each layer they peel back takes them further back in time, uncovering secrets the mansion's been holding on to for centuries.
It's like the deeper they go, the more they realize they're dealing with something truly ancient and powerful.
And speaking of ancient and powerful, the entity makes its grand entrance.
Cue the dramatic music.
But here's the twist. It doesn't just manifest as a spooky figure or voice. It chooses to speak through Sophia.
Talk about creepy, like something out of The Exorcist.
And that choice to speak through her is so significant. It's not just about scaring them. It wants to communicate, to make a deal. And the deal is chilling, to say the least.
Break the curse by sacrificing a loved one or face its wrath for eternity.
It's a classic horror trope, but it serves a serious purpose here. This impossible choice forces Sophia and us as the audience to really confront questions of morality and sacrifice. Is any price too high to break free from generations of suffering?
It's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Sacrifice someone you care about or be tormented forever. What kind of choice is that?
And just to pile on the pressure, the entity really ramps up the spooky effects.
Right, like it wasn't creepy enough already.
Whispering voices, shadows shifting, you name it, the whole haunted house shebang.
It's like the mansion itself is losing it.
Well, remember that stone door they found? Pulsating with energy, ominous as heck.
Oh yeah, the one that seemed important, but they hadn't figured out why yet.
It's no coincidence that leads straight to the entity's lair, the author using the house to mirror the tension in the story.
Okay, so just as Sophie is facing this impossible choice, things get even wilder.
Because why not?
Right? Her great-great-grandmother, Eleanor, decides to make an appearance.
Talk about a family reunion you wouldn't want to be late for.
But Eleanor isn't just there for a ghostly hello.
Oh no, her presence adds this whole other layer of tragedy to the story.
Because it turns out she's the one who kicked off this whole curse business.
trying to protect her family from some other threat, but we all know how well those deals with powerful beings usually go.
Yeah, good intentions. Paved road to, where.
It's a good reminder that even with the best of intentions, our choices can have some seriously messed up consequences rippling down through generations.
And it makes you wonder, if you were in Eleanor's shoes, facing some unknown terror, would you make that deal? Could you resist the temptation to protect your family, even if it meant risking a curse?
It's that moral complexity that elevates Haunted Mansion beyond your typical ghost story. Because it makes you question, can we really judge Eleanor for her choice?
Right. She was desperate, trying to do what she thought was right.
It's easy to judge in hindsight, but in the moment, faced with a threat you don't understand.
Oh,
Well, it makes you think.
it certainly does. And as if the family drama wasn't enough, we find out the entity is even older and more powerful than anyone imagined,
Oh, this thing's been playing the long game, like centuries long.
feeding off the Marino family's misery generation after generation.
The mansion, a symbol of this manipulation, almost like it's absorbing their pain.
Every creak and groan a testament to their suffering.
The author uses those sensory details so effectively, creating this atmosphere of oppressive dread.
You can practically feel the weight of the family's history on your shoulders.
And yet, even facing this ancient evil, this being that's been manipulating her family for generations, Sophia decides to fight back.
Armed with those journals, the knowledge passed down, it's like she's carrying the weight of her family's hopes on her shoulders.
And the entity, realizing it might actually lose its grip on this family, pulls out the big guns.
Offering Sophia the ultimate temptation, power, and an immortality.
The classic deal with the devil, right? But it's so compelling because it forces us, the readers, to ask ourselves, what would we do?
Could you resist that kind of power, knowing the price, knowing what it could cost you?
And just as Sophia is about to make her choice, the entity throws in one final curveball, a chilling warning, destroying the curse will come at a great personal cost.
Classic cliffhanger, leaving us on the edge of our seats wondering what will Sophia choose, and what will that cost be? So there we are, Cliffhanger City. What happens when Sophia comes face to face with that choice? With that sacrifice?
Well, this is where Haunted Mansion really sets itself apart. It doesn't go for the straightforward, big, flashy showdown.
No epic battle with the entity.
It's deeper than that. Sophia, using the knowledge from those journals, those generations of Marino history, she finds a ritual.
Okay, so what does the ritual do? Destroy the entity once and for all.
Not quite. It's about binding it, trapping it within the mansion once more.
So containment instead of destruction. But the entity did warn her there'd be a cost.
And there always is, isn't there? It's a desperate move, born out of a need to protect her friends, to break free from generations of pain, even if it costs her everything.
So what happens? Does it work? What's the price Sophia has to pay?
The ritual, it works, but the ending, it's left open. We don't know for sure what happened to Sophia. Did she become part of the mansion, her essence woven into its very being? Or did she vanish entirely, her sacrifice the ultimate price?
The author just leaves us hanging like that.
And it's brilliant because it's not about tying everything up in a neat bow. It's about those lingering echoes, the idea that even when we think we've beaten the darkness, it can still leave its mark.
So the mansion, it's still there.
Oh, it's still there, but it's different. No longer this oppressive, terrifying presence, more like a memory, a reminder.
A reminder of what?
Of the past, of the choices made, the sacrifices given. It's like stepping into a family photo album filled with both joy and sorrow. The darkness might be gone, but the story remains.
We dove deep into Haunted Mansion, uncovering family secrets, the weight of choices made generations ago, and the bravery it takes to face down something ancient and terrifying. So what's the takeaway here?
For me, it's about the stories we inherit, the legacies passed down, and what we choose to do with them. Do we give in to the darkness, or do we fight? And if we fight, what are we willing to sacrifice?
And sometimes the bravest choice isn't about fighting the monster head on, but finding another way, even if it means changing who we are. Tough questions, no easy answers. That's the power of a good story.
Haunted Mansion reminds us that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that linger long after the book is closed. The ones that make us question our own choices and the legacy we'll leave behind.